What's good, Tamers? This is Zakero from Lockout Games, bringing you a friendly match between Machinedramon and a security-based Agubond deck. So we see the Agumon player going into Koromon and then digivolving the plus 2000 DP Agumon on top of that, going straight into the security attack plus 1 Greymon, leading to a very strong first turn. The Machinedramon player is going to hit the Pagumon and then digivolve into Agurumon, not getting its on-play effect, but that's okay, especially on turn 1 when you need to set up a rookie. And then we see Ultimate Connection coming out, giving them 3 memory and drawing a card, as well as getting rid of a level 5 from their hand, but that's only going to help Machinedramon later in the game, making the on-play cost even cheaper. Then we see Dramon digivolving on top of that Agurumon, looks like setting up a inheritable ability to get that plus 2 draw for pitching a machine or a cyborg card, and then finishing off the turn with Metal Tyrannomon. So we see the swing in from the Greymon, and it's going to go ahead and check 2. First one's going to be a Toy Agumon, followed by a Tankmon. This is going to leave the Machinedramon player down to 3 security, and put the Agubond player in a good position. Normally here you'd want to see a tie come down, or maybe another Tamer to memory reset, but they're going to go with the Agumon Expert. It's not going to be able to have its on-play effect if there's no Agumons in their trash, however. The Machinedramon player attacks in with a Metal Tyrannomon, being able to draw 2 cards from the inheritable from the Dramon, and getting a security plus 1 Digimon off of the board and trying to regain some tempo, and then goes into Agurumon to draw even more cards. So with just one turn they were able to draw 4 and set the opponent at 2. We see the Agumon Expert digivolving into the BT-6 Greymon for 1, and the Agubond player is just going to think for a little bit. So here you'd want to see a Tamer, whether it be a Davis or a Tai, and a little late hatching of the Koromon, just friendly, so we went ahead and went with that, and they digivolved to an Agumon, going into a Lightning Joust for the Greymon and swinging in for 7, but it hits an Andromon, and that's going to actually take care of that. So now the board is clear, and we see a Gaia Force coming out, giving the Machinedramon player a lot of memory, but they're still behind with only 1 Digimon on board and down 3 security, so they still have some catching up to do. We have a Pokemon being hatched in the back, so now there's 2 different Digimon that they can start working on lines with, and they got Dramon going on top of the Agurumon, providing a blocker, or just that really good plus 2 draw inheritable if they can get into a level 5 with that. And we do see the level 5, they're going to go with Machinedramon with an inheritable blocker, so still having that option of having a blocker if they get into a Mega. They play an Analog Youth, looks like they're looking maybe for that level 6. And they pull a Toy Agumon, which is going to go straight on top of the Pokemon in the back row, looking to build that second line, and probably fishing for that level 6 to Digivolve on the Machinedramon. We have Ultimate Connection being played. To me, this card is like Hammer Spark for Machine and Cyborg decks. It just does so much, giving you memory, drawing you a card, and pretty much fixing your hand, getting rid of a level 5, which if you're playing Machinedramon is not a problem at all, and that's really what you want to do. We see a hard-played Mechanarimon coming down onto the field, protecting the last of the 2 security that the Machinedramon player has, and being able to block multiple of the Digimon that the Agubond player is going to use, seeing as most of the champions are going to be around 5,000 unless you have that Lightning Joust to boost them up, which is going to make it difficult for the Agubond player to really get in and finish off the rest of the security. Then we see Analog Youth coming down, hitting 3 Agumons, and they're going to go with the Tamer Agumon that's going to make Tai cheaper when it's on the field. Passing the turn to the Machinedramon player with 2, they're going to promote Toy Agumon up, and now have some options to attack in and try and even up the security battle. Toy Agumon's going to be digivolving into Tankmon, giving it 6,000 and reboot, so it's going to swing in, and it's hitting the security Greymon, so this is one of the cards that makes this Agubond deck special. Not going to be able to pop anything this time, but it is going to be another body on the field, and we see the Machinedramon player going into Izzy, so this is going to stack the top of the deck, so they're able to see what they're drawing into, and we see that Ultimate Connection going on the top, so they're going to be able to use that next turn. The Greymon gets promoted from the taming area, and maybe this is going to signal some sort of offense for the Agubond player, but we do see a Gaia Force taking out the Mechanarimon, as it's really just been shutting down any of the offense that the Agubond player has been able to go with for this whole game. And we see a Pokemon in the back row digivolving into Toy Agumon, and we know that the Ultimate Connection is still in the Machinedramon player's hand from the Izzy last turn, and that's actually going to hit the field, so drawing them another card, giving them a memory, and getting rid of a Metal Mamimon from their hand. This card is amazing at getting cards into your hand and getting that card advantage, as well as giving you the memory to extend your plays and being able to pretty much cheat out some Digimon onto the field. Here we have Machinedramon being digivolved on top of the Machinedramon, so it's going to have blocker and the +2 draw when you attack, and then we see another Machinedramon, the red version, going on top of the Tankmon, swinging in, hitting the security Greymon, once again not being able to destroy anything, and then the big Omnimon's Warp play on the Machinedramon, so not swinging in with that, but drawing a card, milling the top 3, and then bringing back 2 Digimon to kind of get that board advantage, and we see the Mechanarimon coming back that's just going to be able to stop all those Greymons, as well as a Gardramon as well, so setting up a lot of solid defenses to protect those last 2 security for the Machinedramon player. This is going to give the Agubond player 5 memory going into the turn, so we see them hatch the Coromon going into the Agumon from Classic Collection, and then Digivolving into the Geogreymon on top of that. Right now, the Agubond player really needs to clear up some of the board, probably get rid of the Mechanarimon, as it's really stopping any sort of offense from being mounted, especially with no ultimates, and we do see the Atomic Blaster come out. That's going to take care of the Mechanarimon without giving the Machinedramon player too much memory, passing over to the 3. Toy Agumon gets promoted, and let's see what type of offense the Machinedramon player goes for. So they're going to swing in with Zwart. Looks like they're going to target the Security Greymon, bringing Machinedramon back to the hand, and the first thing that they hit is an Atomic Blaster. So that's going to take out both the blocker Gardramon and the Toy Agumon, as both of them together go up to 8,000 DP. They're going to get to draw off of that through the Pagumon effect, and then attacking with the Megidramon, hitting a tie. So a tie right now is not super scary, as there's no Agumons that are left to be able to go into Bond, but Iron Fisted Onslaught is going to take out both of the Geogreymon, leaving only one coming up from the raising area. This is a pretty dire situation, I think, at this point for the Agubond player. So they are going to go into the secret Metal Greymon, the level 5, so it's going to be able to take out multiple security, but it's going to pass the turn, and with one security left on the Agubond side, that's not really anything to keep them alive. So the Metal Greymon's going to die, and the turn is going to be passed over to the Machinedramon player. Looks like after everything is said and done, they should get about 3 memory with the memory resetters. So there has to be pretty much a Gaia Force, and we see that it's just a red memory boost, and that's going to be game 1 for Machinedramon. Alright, it's started game 2, and it looks like we're going to have the Agubond player going first, hatching into the Coromon, and then going into the 1 to Digivolve Agumon, so pretty high DP for a rookie, but it does cost 1 memory. And then we have a Izzy play from the Machinedramon player. So if all 3 of these are black, which they are going to gain 1 memory for this, and are going to be able to stack the cards as they want, and we see them leaving that ultimate connection on the top, indicating they probably have some level 5s in their hand, and are looking to make a bigger play on turn 2. Agumon gets promoted to the battle area, and we see an Analog Youth coming out, so using that 2 memory to its finest, and looks like they're going to take the 2000 DP Agumon. Now here's the big question, is it going to Digivolve into Greymon or swing in? And we swing with the Agumon, and it does hit a Metal Tyrannomon, so it is going to get deleted. So the question is, do they get replaced? And we hit a red memory boost, so this is really going to set up the next turns. Looks like they hit a Agumon, a Tai, a Greymon for the 1 Digivolve, and then another 2000 DP Agumon. So interesting that they didn't take the Greymon, maybe they actually already have some in hands. So we see that ultimate connection coming out, just extending the turn, getting 4 memory and another card, and then going into the Haguramon as a rookie in the back row, so not getting that +2 to draw again, but when you need a rookie you play one, and then going straight into Volcanomon, so getting the level 5 out there. Coromon for the Agubond player going into the 2000 DP Agumon, so probably setting up a little bit more of an offensive Greymon in the future. And then there we have it, the tie, and setting the opponent over to 3 with the memory resetter, but now you have a really standard and good Agubond play for next turn, being able to go into it if necessary. Then we have the starter deck Machinedramon, giving itself an Haguramon reboot. We'll see if the Haguramon actually lives as it swings in, and it does not. It hits the Secret Art Metal Greymon, and that's going to be 1 card drawn for the Pagumon, and then the Machinedramon itself swings in, so it does have reboot, and is able to protect itself for next turn, but it does swing into the Security Greymon, which is now going to come out onto the field. So already you're looking at a big security check for the next turn for the Agubond player, as the Machinedramon player passes the turn with a Haguramon, just drawing some more cards and probably looking to fuel some more level 5s in the trash. So we see Agumon getting promoted, drawing 1 card and gaining a memory from the tie, which is an amazing tamer, especially for this deck. With Greymon going in, it survives, only hitting a Toy Agumon, and then going into a Geogreymon. So now this is going to be beefed up, swinging for 7,000, and it hits a Haguramon and lives, but it also draws the Agubond player a card. Right now, I'd say they're in a really good position as they still have the unpopped memory boost, and then they go for an Atomic Blaster, getting rid of the Agumon. Not worried too much about the Machinedramon as there is no unsuspended Digimon, so it's only checking one, and really can only Digivolve into a Zord at the moment, but that's going to pass the turn if they do. So you see the Machinedramon swinging at the Geogreymon, taking care of that, probably to keep the opponent from drawing more cards with the Coromon that's underneath, and then Digivolving for one, going into Tankmon in the back row. And then we do see a Machinedramon coming down onto the field, setting the opponent at 2, and really stopping any more of the champions that don't have the 2000 DP Agumon from really attacking and getting through. Tamer Agumon gets Digivolved in the back row, and this is the terrifying setup because we know that this is the one that Agubond really loves, as it's going to be able to check multiple security, and you're still going to get the +1 for moving it up and drawing a card with the TIE Tamer. Right now, the Agubond player is in a very strong position. Even if they lose all their security, that just means that the Agubond is going to stay onto the field, as they'll have 0 security when they Digivolve into it. So the Tankmon goes into a Rebellamon, which is not currently in the deck review that I did, but this was an older version of the deck, but they do pitch a level 5 so that it can get Blocker and Retaliation, and then swing in with the Machinedramon, only checking one as there's no Digimon on the field that are unsuspended on their opponent's side, and it checks into a tie. This is really good board position for the Agubond player, as they still have 2 security left, so they're going to get to keep their Agubond, and they get to draw 2 cards and gain 2 memory when they promote, which we see happening right here. And this is where one of the most dangerous plays is probably going to happen if they have it in their hand. But we go for the Agumon, and it looks like from there he's going to Digivolve into the Classic Collection Skull Greymon, so having an extra security attack and being able to bring back an Agumon on deletion. So they're going to swing in with the Skull Greymon, and it looks like Rebellamon is going to block that. So the Retaliation trigger is going to go off, and this is where I think we miss the Agumon from the trash and putting it onto the field suspended, as that is one of the abilities, but I don't think that that's going to actually affect the rest of the game, as we do see the namesake card Agubond in the player's hand, and they have 3 memory to play it. And that sequence from the Agumon player was really good, Digivolving into the level 5 and using the Analog Youth to force really just a bad trade either way on the Machinedramon player's side to gain the 3 memory that they needed to play the Agubond. And now we see it hit the field, so let's see what they decide to go for the sequence for the attacks. So they attack with the Agubond, and it is going to attack into the Machinedramon, popping the Machinedramon so the attack goes through, and at the same time it's going to get rid of the Iron Fisted Onslaught in the security, and then they're going to hard play the Geogreymon, just completely obliterating the board there. They give their opponent 6 memory, but that doesn't matter when you win the game, leaving them with 1 security left. They Digivolve into the Pagumon in the back row. Toy Agumon doesn't really look like they have an out, especially with only 6 memory and most of the removal being 8 memory or more for black. So they go into the Tankmon. At this point it looks like they're just fishing for an answer, but I think the writing's on the wall with this, especially with 3 Digimon swinging in next turn. Digivolving into the Metal Tyrannomon for 3, going down to 2 memory, and then playing the Iron Fisted Onslaught, just really wanting to get rid of that Agubond, but it looks like the writing's on the wall, and they'll concede and go to game number 3. Starting off game 3, we have the Machinedramon player hatching a Pagumon in the back row, and then it looks like they're going to Digivolve into Agumon on top of that. This is also a nice Digimon that you can play from your hand, especially early on in the game, as you can lock your opponent early if they don't have a memory tamer. Then it seems like they're going to Digivolve into Dramon on top of that, setting up a blocker for next turn. And with 6,000 DP, it's going to be hard for the Agubond player to get past that. We do see the 2,000 DP Agumon going into the back row, as well as the 2-drop Agumon, and then followed up by a red memory boost, so really setting up a nice board state. And it looks like they have some pretty decent choices to pick from, another Agumon or the Geogreymon, but they go with the Agumon, maybe representing that they're going to leave the Agumon in the back row and set up a tie play later. The Machinedramon player moves the Dramon up to the front, having a nice blocker, and then we see the Izzy come out to set the opponent to 1, and all 3 cards are black cards, so that's going to be able to gain the Machinedramon player 1 memory, not passing over the turn, and then finishing off the turn with a Agumon so that they're able to draw 2 more cards and get rid of one of the machine cards in their hand that they don't need. So we see the promoting of the Agumon, so maybe they don't have a tie in their hand just yet. And then another Agumon on the board, so another 4k DP. And then we see the Atomic Blaster to take out the blocker. So this is going to set up a really strong next turn where they're going to be able to strike in for 3 as well as have that memory boost. We see another Pokemon in the back row. And then the Ultimate Connection comes out, so that's going to set them up to 5 memory, getting rid of Dramon, and then another Ultimate Connection to boost them up to 6 memory, and it looks like a Machinedramon went into the trash from there, and then just a quick count of how many level 5s are in the trash, maybe looking to play the Machinedramon this turn. And we see an Analog Youth coming out. Let's see what cards they get. It looks like a Tankmon, a Hagurumon, and then a Rebellamon, so that's going to go into the trash, and they take the Hagurumon. Probably wanting more draw power and getting more level 5s, but they Digivolve on top of the Agumon with that, going to cycle the cards that way, and then hard play a Metal Tyrannomon. So they have the ultimate and only setting their opponent to 3, but they do have the red memory boost in the background, and they go into the Tamer Agumon as well. So there's no blockers on the field, and they do have 3 Digimon that can attack in and whittle them down, the Machinedramon player down to 2 security right now, as well as extending their plays with the memory boost. But we do see the Greymon, and then that swings in. Going to be pretty strong as it's going to gain 2000 DP, but it isn't going to survive the Machinedramon that's going to be in the security. The second Agumon swings in and hits an Iron Fisted Onslaught. That's really unfortunate because it's going to take out the third Agumon before it can swing. So now the board is clear, which is very unfortunate, and we're just going to see the Classic Collection Agumon being played onto the field, and the Machinedramon player going to 3 for their turn. Hagurumon gets promoted for the turn, and let's see if they Digivolve on top of it. So it's actually going to start swinging, and we see an Atomic Blaster coming out of the security, which is going to be able to take out one of the Digimon, and they go for the Metal Tyrannomon. But that actually would have given the Machinedramon player a extra Digitama as well as an extra memory, so they pick the Hagurumon instead, even though it does allow the Metal Tyrannomon to swing. But at that point, they'll be even on security, and now you see that's what happens, hitting a Greymon, so it's still going to survive. And then the Machinedramon player plays a TK and a Kari, so this is interesting because now, if the Agubond player decides to hit the security, they're going to give a lot of memory to the Machinedramon player, and we do see the black memory boost hitting the field, so that represents a lot of memory for the Machinedramon player for next turn, as they have a dual Tamer, an Izzy to set them to 3 no matter what, and a memory boost on the field. So from the Agubond player, we just see a hard playing of the 2000 DP Agumon. So the Machinedramon player is going to go up to 5 minimum and still has that memory boost, hatching a Pokemon in the back row, and really able to play almost anything they want from their hands at this point. So they're going to swing in at the Agumon with a Metal Tyrannomon, getting that off of the field, and clearing any future attackers or the possible game that they might have with that Agumon sitting in the back row. Popping the memory boost to go to 7, and then Digivolving into the Machinedramon. So this is an interesting choice. Maybe they didn't have 5 level 5s that they could put underneath of it by just hard playing it. As it's 7 memory, you're able to get it for free. But then we see the Omnimon's Ward setting the Agubond player to 2. So it's going to draw a card from the Digivolution, mill the top 3, and then bring back 2 black or purple level 5s and put them on the field. And we do see the Gardramon hitting the field, as well as the Hagurumon getting the on-play effect from that, being able to pitch another card, which looks like a Tankmon, and then draw another 2. So this is a really big value play, as now you have a blocker, removal, and got to draw some cards from that, cycling out your hand while getting rid of the level 5 for Machinedramon that's going to come back next turn. But we do see a Classic Collection Agumon being played onto the field, and then the Machinedramon player is going to go up to 5 due to the TK and the Kari. They hatch a Pagumon going into Toy Agumon in the back row, and then looks like we're going to see the swing with the Omnimon's Ward, popping one of the Agumons, and then sending Machinedramon back to their hand, and then swinging with a Hagurumon, now hitting a tie, so that's probably what the Agubond player was waiting for, but it might be a little bit too late at this point, as we do see a Gardramon being played onto the field, as well as another Gardramon. So this is going to help with the Agubond's ability of being able to destroy a Digimon that has lesser power than it, and pretty much mill the top card of the security for free. So you really want to play as many blockers as you can. So we do see the Digivolution into the Agubond, with the tie now being on the field. This does seem like a really uphill battle, as they're going to have to get past 3 blockers and destroy 2 Digimon that's going to be on the field. So we do see them attacking, getting rid of a Gardramon, and swinging into the security, only getting rid of 1. And then it looks like the Gardramon's going to go ahead and block so that the final security doesn't get checked. The Agubond player's in a tough spot. They do have a lot of memory at their disposal. The problem is I think the Tai just came out a little bit too late. But speaking of Tai, he's going to Digivolve into Agumon. And it looks like this is just going to be an attempt at getting rid of as many Digimon as they can from the board. And Agubon's going to play Lightning Joust, boosting up the Agumon up to 7,000. It's going to swing into the security, and it's going to hit a Machinedramon, which is going to take that out as well as they're both 7k. Then there's just a little bit of talk between the two players on the Tai coming out just a little bit too late, and if there's any outs in the deck, you see him swinging with the Agumon and then hard playing the Geogreymon just to get rid of the Hagurumon, and the Zwart swings in for the final damage. If you were entertained by the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel as it really does help us out, and I'd like to hear from you on what other decks you would like to see or what other Digimon you would like to see decks built around. Well, until next time, let's get that gate closed.